A Vikings team looking to play spoiler against a Lions team with their backs against the wall. Welcome to Crossover Thursday.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, football fans? I am Luke Braun. I do Locked On Vikings here with Matt Derry. He does Locked On Lions. And we're here for a Crossover Thursday special holiday edition here on the Locked On Podcast Network. That is the #1 sports podcasting network. And thank you so much for everybody who helped make that possible. This Crossover Thursday is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. This is a very weird time for us to be meeting, Matt, because when the schedule first came out, it felt like they put this thing on Christmas. They thought this was going to be like it was when the Vikings and Lions met late last year. Tons of stakes, both teams in it, fighting for the division, who's going to get there. They thought it was going to be like what that Bears-Packers game was last week, or what Ravens-Steelers is going to be like. That has not been the case. The Vikings are already eliminated, and the Lions are on death's door. So for Vikings fans who haven't maybe followed the Lions playoff picture that closely, or for Lions fans who just need to catch up, can you please just tell me what needs to happen for the Lions to make the playoffs and what that would look like?
Well, first off, Luke, never would have in a million years at the start of the year would you and I have thought that you and I would be having this discussion about last place. But
I know. It's like it's 2020 again.
Here we are, my man. And yes, the Lions need 2 wins.
Where's Matt Millen?
They got to knock off the Vikings and beat the Bears in Week 18 in Chicago. And the Packers obviously need to lose both games to the Ravens and then to you guys next week. And I just don't see it. I think most Lions fans also believe in watching this football team just eye test at 8-7, even if they somehow got in and were the 7 seed. They're not playing well enough. They're not playing good enough football. They're not stopping the run at all. I mean, it's a dumpster fire to even be in the conversation. And that's sad because they got 5 Pro Bowlers. Rest of the division has 4 total Pro Bowlers for the last 3 teams. The Lions have 5.
We didn't help with that at all.
No, you didn't. There's a lot of talent on the Lions and there's good players, and it just hasn't worked this year for some odd reason. And to put your finger on it and to say what's going on is a bit of a mystery, but it starts with, like I said, stopping the run, because right now the teams are trucking them, and that's unlike this Lions team. So yes, focus on this game going into Minnesota and winning, but I'm sure you guys are ready to play spoiler, right?
That's all they got going right now. Because with no J.J. McCarthy, by the way, if any Lions fans missed that, J.J. McCarthy out with a hairline fracture in his hand. So it's going to be Max Brosmer again. Last time he started a game, it didn't go so hot. He did clean up reasonably well in that Giants game. It's a Giants team that is already mentally in Cabo and has been for weeks. So I don't put a ton of stock in that. But when he had to show up and try to at least hold his own against the Seattle Seahawks, nobody expected him to win, but the shutout was pretty humiliating. And it was a game that made all this bad J.J. McCarthy stuff look like child's play. It was really spectacular. So here's what I see in this. And I want to throw a bone to Lions fans, because those outcomes to get in the dance don't seem crazy, except for the Vikings beating the Packers next week. The Lions, they're favored by 7.5 and on the road, and I think that's probably an underestimation with where the Vikings are. They're injured. There's no Darisaw in this game. They're not going to have Ryan Kelly. They've already shut down a bunch of their big defenders like Jonathan Grenard. Like, this is a preseason team led by a preseason quarterback. It's going to be they're going to have a really rough time. So I think if the Lions do drop this one, the conversations need to get more serious. This is one that, with your lives on the line back against the wall, the Lions have to be able to win this one and should do so comfortably. Well, and there's a lot of Vikings fans that are probably going to be happy to hear that, because that's going to be better for a draft position or whatever.
Well, you mentioned our friends at FanDuel have it at 7.5. Lion fans will look at that number and go, we're not 7 points better than anybody right now. Not the way we're playing. Now, again, you're right. Last week,
ye of little imagination.
Yes. I mean, it's a big difference between Aaron Rodgers and Max Brosmer. And I know this is not Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago, But again,
no, but it's a guy who is, can function, right? And that's
yes.
the Brosmer offense, and we'll talk about it a little later, but the Brosmer offense last time was not functional. You weren't progressing through any read, pure progression or otherwise. It was back up and panic. Like nothing was working right at all. They couldn't get the run game going, and it was just it was. I think they had 4 turnovers or 5 turnovers. Like it was just absolutely disastrous. Oh yeah, it was 4 interceptions, and he tried to throw a 5th. Like it was this total disaster of a nightmare game.
But you have Aaron Jones and you have Jordan Mason. I know both of them got hurt last week.
No Jordan Mason. It's going to be Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler like it was last year.
All right. If I'm Minnesota and I'm Kevin O'Connell with how creative he is, I'm finding ways to run the football. You mentioned no Darisaw, but last week you had a 4th string left tackle for the Steelers, and Samolo was out for Pittsburgh, their left guard, and you had a backup guard, and they still ran for 230. Something's going on with that Lions D line. Something's going on where they're just not. I mean, there's too much space. I mean, you hand the ball off to any of these guys that the Steelers had last week, Kenneth Gainwell, and they're just going for massive chunks, and it just made no sense. Jalen Warren, no sense of how much space just a running back getting the ball and going, oh my gosh, it's like backyard football here with no defenders. So something's got to be fixed
cutting back a lot.
Say it again.
Were the runs cutting back a lot? Because I know this is the thing with Hutch.
No, it was they were just man on man, basic hand and go. And Jalen Warren gets the ball off the left side again behind a 4th string left tackle and a 2nd string left guard, and just clear sailing. And so hopefully that's fixed. Again, a couple of walkthroughs, because you can't really do any practicing this late in the year on Monday or Tuesday before a travel day on Wednesday for a short week. That's the biggest concern. It hasn't mattered who's out there. The Lions allowed Jameis Winston 5 weeks ago to come in and dance on them. Remember the first Vikings game that you and I talked about back in November? That was J.J. McCarthy's, to me, best game, and the Vikings' best game. And they came into Ford Field with no problem. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a big moment for J.J. McCarthy to kind of come in and actually, go into the Lions' house and beat a tough team, which I still believe the Lions are a tough team, which is kind of the other part of what I was going to say, The Lions beating the Vikings, that's a heavily favored outcome. I think the Packers dropping 1 to the Ravens, well, they've dropped 1 to worse teams than that, right? Like, that's not hard to believe, and then beating the Bears next week, that's tough. But again, it's the division. It's not that hard to buy. The hardest obstacle to this is next week with the Vikings beating the Packers. That's the thing you need that is hardest for you to ask for. But then once you're in the dance, man, I mean, look, 2-7, imagine this. Just like let your imagination run wild, right? Week 18,
I love you.
Lions beat the Bears, get the 7 seed. Bears are the 2 seed. Go beat the Bears again. All you got to do is flummox Caleb Williams a couple times, and you're right back in the divisional round. I don't know. It's not crazy.
You think Ben Johnson's going to lose 3 times in 1 year to his mentor?
Maybe. I don't know. What's he got cooked up on this 4th and 1?
That would be wild. That would be absolutely crazy. I mean, next week you guys would have to go to Green Bay to beat him. I do want to see what you look like.
Well, that's in Eunice Bank. They already got smoked by him in Lambeau.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, Baltimore, having to go to Green Bay tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah.
Or Friday, excuse me, is going to be kind of wild because of all the injuries that they've had. Look, I love your optimism for the Lions. Thank you. You are a good friend, and I've known you a long time. but I'm hopeful, and I want to do one storyline here. I'm hopeful that whatever's going on with David Montgomery, and Lions fans know what I'm talking about, is okay for Thursday, because weird Instagram posts, liking a post about somebody saying they should trade you because you're not getting enough carries, illness on Tuesday, didn't practice. Yeah, that's a guy that you need. And that's a guy that I know they've underutilized, and I'm sure he's unhappy with his touches. He's not carrying the ball really that much because they've gone with Gibbs. But then because the run game's been so bad the last 4 weeks, they've had to throw 50 plus times. Keep an eye on the David Montgomery storyline. I don't know what this illness was, but you see the air quotes, not practicing Tuesdays, cryptic Instagram messages, something to watch for today.
It'll be an interesting off season for sure. I think for both of these teams, the Vikings are going to be very active this offseason. I think they're going to keep Tom Pelissero very busy this offseason, and maybe the same will be true for the Lions. But now I want to also get into the real question of like, look, it's a touchdown favorite. Stranger upsets have happened. What is the path for the Vikings in their depleted state to actually upset the Lions and play spoiler like I think a lot of us may want to see? That'll be next here on the Crossover Thursday. Today's episode of Crossover Thursday is brought to you by PrizePicks. It is the holiday season, and that means that it is like the best time for sports. One of the best times of the year. You've got bowl games, college football playoffs, really pivotal NFL games, and also this one. You've got really important basketball games going on. And one of the most fun places to make the right call about all that sports is PrizePicks. It's the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on 2-player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. You can choose from a huge range of unique stats from your classics, yards, touchdowns, passing attempts, but also fantasy score, field goals attempted, sacks, whatever fits your energy. And deposits and withdrawals are super quick and easy, which keeps everything flowing. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, moving on here with Crossover Thursday on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, if you are an everydayer to either one of our shows and you appreciate what we do and you want to go ad-free, you can now with the Everydayer Club. For $5 a month or $50 a year, if you want to do it that way, I recommend that. You can get ad-free episodes of Locked On Vikings or Locked On Lions, as well as access to a special Discord server and so much more. Just go to lockedonvikings.supercast.com or lockedonlions.supercast.com, as it were. You can even gift it. Go check that out. So, Matt, you've already kind of mentioned it, but if the run defense is a difficulty, then this is definitely not like the Steelers can run the ball. And I know Kenneth Gainwell set a career high against our defense. So that's a struggle. And we talked about that last time we played. But if that's the deal, do you think that there is a world where Aaron Jones just goes crazy on him? I mean, he's like a hobbled Aaron Jones or Ty Chandler, who's been on IR all year and isn't really that much to write home about as a running back. Do you really see a world where those guys give Max Brosmer a bunch of, 2nd and 2s and we're, rolling the ball down the field and everyone's going, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah, I do. And obviously Darisaw and Ryan Kelly are really good players. And again, I wish I had an answer for you, Luke, like, hey, Lions are without Aleem McNeil, or hey, Hutchinson's out, or hey, Jack Campbell, their middle linebacker, is struggling. No, Jack Campbell made the Pro Bowl. He's awesome. He's one of the best linebackers in the game right now. They just can't, it doesn't matter who it is. They just have been not able to stop anybody from running the ball on them the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've given up over 1,000 yards the last 2 games on defense. And it's not just running the ball. I mean, DJ Reed has had his struggles at corner. Him against Justin Jefferson would be interesting. Obviously, when Addison gets open, the issue is holding on to the ball. He's really good. And I would hope that with this, like you said, desperation with Detroit and needing these 2 wins to get to 10 and to have a fighter's chance here, that they would just step up and play better football on the defensive side. I mean, Kelvin Shepard, the D coordinator, hinted last week, we're going to make a few changes, but it's not like anybody's running it down our throats. And then the Steelers did. So, yeah, I see a world where that's possible. You're on the road. It's not an easy place to play there at US Bank. But I would hope that you just see a better performance, especially like you said, because it's Brosmer, it's not JJ, and that they would step up and just block and tackle better on offense too. Their blocking on their O-line hasn't been good. This is basic stuff that Dan Campbell led teams the last 5 years have been so good at, blocking and tackling. And the last few weeks has not been there.
I remember going back to the offseason and the 2 main concerns with the Lions after that just unbelievable season last year was that they lost their coordinators and they lost their O-line with Frank Ragnow not coming back and a bunch of other turnover. And I remember thinking everybody's talking about that so much.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like that'll probably have an impact, but is it probably? But it sounds like hey, the coaching the staff is not the same, and hasn't gotten them the same amount of prepared. And then obviously blocking being one of the things is sort of speaks to that. But so here's I guess what I'll tell you about where the Vikings are at, because again it's all backups.
Yeah.
This is a preseason team. You say, oh, Jameis Winston got us. We would kill for Jameis Winston right now. I've had a question in my mailbag every week up to the trade deadline. Hey, do you think we can grab Jameis Winston? So like it's a level of it was a level of bad that just like would astound you if you looked at it statistically with Brosmer, if you just look at that Seattle game. So what you have to do is find your inner Seattle Seahawks. I don't think you have to be as just dominantly good as that team is to pull one over here. But like they blanked them and got 4 picks. Like you don't need all that, but that being possible should kind of tell you what's going on. But here's what was happening with Brosmer. I talked about it at length on my last episode of Locked On Vikings. So Lions fans, if you want to do some Oppo research, you can check that out. But basically, the whole thing was that Brosmer was rushing through his reads. So he was going, 1 and skipping to 4. Or he was going through 1, 2, 3, 4 so fast that he wasn't actually gaining any information about those routes. He wasn't deciding on if they were open. He was just hurrying because he's in a panic because he's a rookie and this whole thing is crazy, and going 1, 2, 3, 4 and just getting to the check down. Or he was panicking. I mean, you probably saw the highlight from that Seattle game where he gets flushed out of the pocket and he's getting sacked and it's 4th down and he flips it right to Ernest Jones, who goes the other way.
That was brutal.
Yeah. So it's undrafted rookie stuff, right? Like this is just total drowning, overwhelmed guy that isn't handling it. What I think will be interesting from an academic standpoint, even if it doesn't matter at all because the Vikings offense can't do anything. From an academic standpoint, it'll still be interesting what the Brian Flores defense does in this. They are on an absolute heater. They have given up like 1 touchdown in the last 3 games. They have they haven't given up a passing touchdown, Matt, in 6 weeks.
Wow.
7 is a record. So like we're kind of watching for that.
That's amazing.
If they can keep Jared Goff even if they give up 5 touchdowns, if they're all on the ground, we get the record.
And remember, you guys came into town back on November 2nd, and it was Blitz City. I mean, they just decided.
Yeah.
And Flores has tried it in the past, and Goff has burned him.
Yeah.
This time it didn't happen. This time Brian got the best of Jared on that day. And look, Goff has had time the last few weeks. That's not really been the issue.
Yeah, in the previous games, in the Ben Johnson games, and I give a lot of this to Frank Ragnow, it was the blitzes got picked up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was, they didn't. It was Jared Goff, backpedaling back foot like a slant or something, and then that would go, or like a bang 8 or something like that, and that would go super far. But it was also like a lot of the times it was keep 7, 8 in protection and sort it out. You're gonna send 7, we'll keep 7, we'll get a guy on a guy, we'll make it work. But that didn't seem to happen in the first game here, so I wonder if that's a different option for that staff. Because I mean, look, that's how Ben Johnson handled is not going to be how the next guy comes in and wants to. He's going to want to do things his own way. So like I wonder about that. But if the Vikings are really scared of the run game, which I think probably should be, whatever is going on with David Montgomery notwithstanding, but the Vikings have been dented by the run game a lot. Tyrone Tracy, I mean, the Giants ran for like 150 very quietly in a game where their quarterback was dissolving. But like, if they fear the run game, they might do the same thing where they bring out 4 defensive tackles and no edge rushers. Like 4 defensive tackles, Andrew Van Ginkel and Eric Wilson, and that's your front, and then 5 in the secondary. And like that's a personnel package that they've used against teams where they really fear the run. Jalen Hurts got a perfect passer rating because it was all D tackles and he was never under pressure. But it's worked really, really well against some other teams that have, like, they did it a lot against the Cowboys too. And that it really flummoxed the Cowboys, which are a very good offense, and they still kind of got their fair share of production because they're a really good offense, but it really slowed them down. So I wonder what would happen there, and like, how do you feel, I guess, about the big personnel? like 3 tight end stuff or 2 tight ends and a fullback or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now you got to remember the Lions are without their top 2 tight ends. Sam Laporte is out for the year. Brock Wright's out for the year. So
Brock
you've got
Wright too.
something called Anthony Ferkser that plays a lot, and a few other guys. And so the Lions going jumbo, bringing Dan Skipper in as a 6th offensive lineman might be an option just to try to get the run game going. We've talked so much on the show already here, Luke, about the Lions run defense, but the rush offense last week gained 15 yards. 15. Jahmyr Gibbs, 7 carries, 2 yards. This is a Pro Bowl starter that was held to 2 yards. Lions abandoned the run game. It just wasn't there. They've had a mix and match O-line situation. I think Glasgow's going to come back this week, missed last week, so he'll play center. Mahogany was not ready to start last week at left guard. They threw him out there anyway, and he was a tire fire. Now, he's the best they've got there, and hopefully with another week here and some more time coming back from a leg injury, he's going to be okay. But they got to do better than 15 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs over the last 4 games, I think, is averaging about 3 yards a carry. And that can't be. He's really, really good. He's arguably the best back in the game. So I think they are going to try to establish that and get it going. And especially after you said the pass defense for Minnesota has been so good in keeping people out of the end zone, that let's try to run and go back to what the Lions do best, is get on the road, run, take the crowd out of the game, use some clock, get Montgomery involved too, if he's there, and try to win up front.
Yeah, the Vikings have stealed a lot in the red zone. So they've had a ton of problems at safety. Harrison Smith is very old and slow. Theo Jackson's been benched. They're trying with like Jay Ward, or Josh Metellus is now out for the year. You don't have him. And so in that secondary, in their run support, they've had a bunch of problems, which matters a lot more between the 20s, where, they're lined up 25 yards deep and the angle is a lot harder, but then you get into the red zone and then those guys have their feet on the goal line anyways, and then it's a lot harder to run against that, right? And then that's where you have to sort of play into the teeth of the pass defense and sort of play into some of the blitz stuff that Flores does, which I think is why they've given up a lot of yards, but then they always are kind of clamping down in the red zone. They've given up a lot of field goals in the last. If you are a fantasy player and you want to stream the kicker against the Vikings, it's been a pretty good idea for the last few for the last few weeks.
Yeah, start Jake Bates. Do
it. Do it. So what is actually going to happen in this game and how this is going to go down? I think there's a lot of different ways that we can sort of imagine this one going down, but I don't know how many of them have the Vikings winning. We'll talk about it next here on the Crossover Thursday. All right, Matt, hit me with a prediction. I guess let's start with this. With the FanDuel line, 7.5 as of this recording at least. Do you think that that's inappropriate?
Well, at first glance, look, I've talked to you for 23 minutes. You sold me, okay? But I'm saying
it's bad over here, man.
Before you and I hit record, I was like 7 points. They're not 7 points better than anybody right now, the way they're playing. Again, I'm not off the bandwagon. I'm not saying fire Holmes, fire Campbell, replace Goff. No way. I think they all come back next year, and I think they're going to be fine. This year is just that hasn't worked out. This hasn't been good. 7 points better than anybody, right? But now hearing what you're telling me about all these guys are out, and Brosmer has obviously been their third choice at quarterback. If the Lions fans have to remember, Carson Wentz played a lot earlier in the year before he got hurt. They got him off the golf course in Carmel, Indiana. So, yes, I see a scenario where the Lions go in there, and because they've got to win, they'll handle their business and pay back Minnesota for the November 2nd loss. But they just haven't played well, and they've made mistakes and timeout utilization and end of quarters and coming out of the third quarter locker room. The other team has been pounding them lately. There's just little things that keep me from going, hey, no way the Lions lose this one. But with that being said, they've got to have it, and I think they will win it. I just think it's going to be closer than you think, Luke.
I know the Lions to be at their best when they're angry, and they've got a couple of reasons to be very angry right now.
Yeah.
The Lions are angry. I know there's like all this discussion about like the OPI calls and how that Steelers game ended, and I feel like when the Lions have that happen, like I always think about that game against the Cowboys last year, where there was so much where they called the Dan Skipper play like 5 times and they won by like 40. like I always think about that as like a bit of the character of the Lions, that the Lions really take spite and shove it into the face of their opponent. So that's part of it. And then of course, wanting revenge for November and not wanting to get swept by the lowly Vikings. That would be rough. And that would put the Lions at last place in the division, by the way,
That's
going
correct.
into week 18,
Yes.
which I do
Yes.
not think is an accolade that you want.
No.
With the way the Viking season has gone, would be rough. But so that's kind of why I have put everything in terms of my FanDuel and PrizePicks and all that is all going to be about, this is going to be a big game for the Lions on the ground. And I think it's just going to be a big game for the Lions in general. I think 7.5 is a gross underestimation.
Wow. Okay.
Like it's just where I'm at.
Haven't you guys won 3 in a row?
But look at who they beat. They beat Washington, Dallas, Giants. I mean,
All right.
that's, yeah.
Dallas isn't horrible.
And no JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy had been playing better. This is very important. All you Michigan fans out there. JJ McCarthy had been actually getting kind of hot. The 2 games against Dallas and Washington, he was like a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's just a 2-game, that's a small sample, so don't go crazy. But they were very good games. And then against the Giants, he was having what I've called an up and down half. I'm a little lower on it than a lot of other people are, though. And even I'm just calling it up and down. A lot of people would tell you, no, that was actually just, he was still playing really well. So like he was definitely pulling it together a little bit better. And for me, the intrigue in this, I do not care about the scoreboard, and I haven't for weeks now. So Lions, go ahead, beat the crap out. I don't care. We would love to play spoiler. It's fun. I don't care. Here's what is interesting to me. For one, just the stuff we talked about with Flores, that chess match between Flores and Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and all that is always very fun, good TV. But also the Max Brosmer story. He's a Minnesota Gopher. Everybody here loves him. Everybody here is rooting for him. And the fact that he gets another chance is really cool. It looked like that Seattle game was going to be it for him. And that was your NFL chance, buddy, and you did something so bad it made history. And we kind of thought, all right, well, they're gonna, good luck with your camp cut and have fun on the Arlington Renegades. And now that's where we were at, right? Like you're looking like a San Antonio Brahma. But now he gets a chance at redemption. He played this whole second half against the Giants, looked reasonable. And if he can build some redemption and build an NFL career, nobody's expecting him to be a starter, but he gets another chance to wash that stink away of that Seattle game and say, whatever, my first start against a great team, tough place to play. And I biffed it, but here's who I really am. There's something so compelling about that I think everybody here is rooting for. They just want him to look like he could maybe be a backup someday.
Yeah.
Like that's where the standard is.
He was a 1AA guy 2 years ago. So
yeah,
it's a cute story, no question about it. If I see Brett Rippon in this game, then I know the Lions will win.
So Brett Rippon lost a camp competition to Max Brosmer, and it was not close.
Yeah.
To give you a sense of where his career is.
He's not good. I'm being nice.
I don't even know if it would be Rippon. It might be John Wolford if Max Brosmer.
Oh, that's right, John Wolford. John Wolford, by the way, who
speaking of Springling guys.
Do you remember John Wolford was the quarterback when Sean McVay benched Jared Goff?
Yeah.
The playoff game years ago and started Wolford instead.
Yeah.
Teammates, the Rams.
And what a cascade that has had on the NFC.
Wow. I forgot he was with you guys now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me the Lions, but 27-21. I don't know if they'll cover the 7.5.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's going to be turnovers. That's the thing. And that's going to make this go. It's going to be like, I'll give it 31-17. I would say this is going to be one of those games where, it's probably good that this is going to land right around Christmas dinner time for everybody. Gotcha. You'll be sitting there eating your big piece of ham, and you're going to look up and you'll be like, oh, well, that one's over.
Oh, Luke, always good talking to you, buddy.
It's always a pleasure, Matt. I really want to see it be the Lions, just because I think it'd be very funny to test the Packers on what happens if they don't make the playoffs this year. So I would love to see the Lions pull this out, get into the 7 seed. Who knows, man? Tough, hard-nosed team. They can maybe run the ball. Jameer Gibbs, be road warriors. Go get that underdog chip on your shoulder like you had in 22 and 23. Who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen. It's a miracle of
plus
goal.
we both despise Peter Bukowski's.
No, we don't despise Peter Bukowski. We just despise his takes. All right, Matt, thank you so much for hanging out here on Crossover Thursday. Till next time, man. Hey, Vikings fans, go check out Locked On Lions. Lions fans, come hang out here on Locked On Vikings after the game. I'm sure I'll have all kinds of things to say about my team that you will enjoy to hear. And, we will see you all next time here on Crossover Thursday.